Welcome to the Mixed Reception Podcast. I'm your host, Barrett Sigmund, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a treat. We got Mr. Matt Cole back on.
Woo! Yeah, let's do it. It's me, Matt Cole. Wow.
Matt Cole, I think the last episode you did, wow, this is like right from the beginning. Like I think episode 4 or something. You did
Really?
what was it? Fifth Element or something.
No, wait.
We
I
did Fifth Element.
What? Really?
Yeah, I don't know what number it was, but it was early on. It was very early on. But it's crazy. I've not, I've done so many of these things, and I haven't done a Nicolas Cage movie yet.
Oh, it's a travesty.
It's all about kind of polarizing movies and, things with cult followings. And what more polarizing of a person than Nic Cage?
Yes. Although I have hope now, Barrett, because I think people more and more are actually starting to respect him. Like there's a book out now called Age of Cage. I got it sitting next to me on my bedside, and people are starting to understand more and more, which actually I think he hates because he really banked on the fact that like he likes old Hollywood and like celebrities are mysterious and all that. But he was in debt, so he needed the paycheck and he needed the publicity, and now he's back. It's the Age of Cage, baby.
So for our audience, if they don't know, you are I'm gonna say it, probably maybe the biggest Nic Cage fan in the world. Definitely in my social circle, like
Yeah,
you
definitely.
Nic Cage. I would say like you're an improviser and you're a sketch writer and you're a producer with podcasts. But when you die, in your obituary, it's gonna be #1 Nic Cage fan.
I hope so. Although that would probably mean, and we were talking about this before you hit record, that would mean I would have to like finally check out some of the shitty, like lesser Nick Cages. And to be honest, and people ask me that like they're dying to know, they're like, "Oh my god, have you seen every one?" No, I haven't, and I don't think I will because some of the shittiest Nick Cage movies are absolute garbage. Like I've either watched a few seconds of them, or my friends have been like, "Don't even waste your time." I'm like, okay, yeah.
Well, I read something recently that he's out of. I think he's actually like financially stable now.
Yes, and I'm so glad. Like I was, and that goes, yeah, it goes towards me being such a huge fan because I honestly like I dread like I hope I die before this guy because I'm gonna be so sad when he's gone. But I was so happy when that came out and he was for the press junk and stuff for the unbearable weight of massive talent.
Oh, that's where he
They
plays himself
I
in the
can't
movie.
wait to see that fucking movie. Now that's gonna be a good
When
one.
does it come out?
I think at the end of this month, April 28th or 22nd.
Oh, okay. We actually have a movie little chat. I think
We definitely need to see it. I want to see it like
we
at
definitely
midnight.
need to say we need to see that at midnight. I'm sure
Yeah,
everyone in
when
the
I heard,
world would
I think it was
love.
the press for that, and he admitted. I don't know if it was a question or it just came up, but he was like, "Yeah, I was definitely in debt, like everybody thought, but now I am out of debt." And he's starting to kind of get a now. He's getting a little more choosy, which isn't much for Nick Cage, but I mean, even just now, if Unbearable Weight is a really big hit, then he will have like Mandy, Pig, and now this one.
I was about to say
And
he's on the up and up. I
he's
mean,
he's on the upswing.
yeah.
I think so, and he's getting older too, so he can get more like parts that where he just doesn't give a fuck. So I'm excited.
Today's movie, we're gonna be talking about Vampire's Kiss, which is actually pretty relevant. It's very
Yeah,
topical because he's playing Dracula in the upcoming Renfield movie. Do you know about
yeah,
this?
yeah. And I don't know what he's gonna do. I mean, I actually just finished watching because um again like if you Google like what's wrong with Nick Cage or like is Nick Cage a good actor, there's actually a lot of cool stuff that really like gets him. And the thing about Vampire's Kiss was I mean, he starts with a voice and he has such a weird fucking voice, but he
Oh my
also
god, it's like a British. What I don't know what it.
I think he was doing like a yuppie at the time, like because I think he's a Cali kid, and so I think he was doing like some weird like kid from California, like surfer dude whose parents are rich, and then he moves to New York to be a yuppie. That's my theory. I don't think it's been confirmed anywhere, but like he has that kind of like, oh yeah, I'm like a surfer dude, but I also am in finance. But yeah, but he also he starts with the voice, he also does like old Hollywood. So obviously he did a lot of like Nosferatu type faces and stuff. but now now I don't know what he's gonna do. But he's gonna surprise us. He might go. I don't know what he might do from old
I've
Hollywood.
seen the set pictures. Have you seen the set pictures? He's
He
actually
looks
in. He's in the
fucking
Dracula.
ridiculous.
Oh my god! It's got to be a comedy, right? I mean,
I don't. Yeah, I mean, and that's another thing is like, you can't do like with good bad movies like The Room or whatever, Tommy Wiseau. You can't go into it thinking like, oh, I'm gonna make a purposely shitty movie or whatever. And all the really best Nick Cage ones are not like from directors who like, because I actually wasn't a big fan of Night at Freddy's. Was that one?
oh, Five Nights at
Five
Freddy's or
Nights. Yeah, it was trying
something.
to be a little too ironic, and it didn't give Nick Cage very much. But
He
when you
doesn't
give him
speak in that
something,
movie at all.
he doesn't even speak, and it's like, okay, I get it, and it's kind of ironic, and they want him to freak out, whatever. Okay, but like when they give him like something serious to latch onto, he takes everything so fucking seriously that he'll do a good job. So I hope it isn't like an intentional comedy. Um, yeah,
Well, I actually want to ask you, so I'm glad you kind of brought it up. I mean,
yeah,
is Nicolas Cage uh, a good actor? Here's the thing with Nick Cage. I'll let you talk, but
yeah,
man, just like what a bizarre leading man.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
not traditionally handsome. He's got awful hair. The way he talks,
Yeah.
just well, I guess he is. So he is related to the Coppolas, Francis
Yeah.
Ford, and all them. So
Yeah, which he claims he didn't take advantage of because he changed his name to Nick Cage, as in like Luke Cage, the Marvel hero. But people knew he was a fucking Coppola, but I don't know if that's true or not. But
I don't know. I think he's a bad actor,
yeah,
but
no,
he
I
is.
think
I
yeah.
do think his performance and adaptation is
Oh,
phenomenal, and I do
I
think it is one of those things where if there's a good script and a good director that can kind of rein him in,
yeah.
I think he can turn out a good performance. But I'll let you talk. So
No,
is
no,
he a good
I
actor?
love that. I just love talking about Nick Cage, and yeah, so I think he's a good actor. I think he's probably a legendary actor. And again, like there's all kinds of stuff you can read, and I think an opinion that I agree with recently is that he is the next step in like acting and like the art of acting and the form of acting, screen acting after Marlon Brando. So it goes, like old school, Hollywood starts from theater. So everything's really big and like bold and very stagey. Then it goes into like naturalism with Stanislavski and all that sort of stuff. And then Marlon Brando is the big American actor. Then like who else, right? And I agree with you. He's such a good interesting leading man because you can get like somebody who's just a fucking face, right? Like Tom Cruise or I don't know any really attractive actor, but there's only a few kind of like weirdos, and Nick Cage is like that. And I would also say like Tom Hanks, like he sometimes he does weirdo stuff, but like Tom Hanks is also like I don't know, is the guy attractive or not? He just looks kind of normal,
Oh, I'd
but
fuck
it's
Tom Hanks.
I would fuck Tom Hanks too. It's interesting if you look at like other countries, like leading actors, if they have any kind of like film industry, and you look at their leading actors, like that guy. But yeah, but think about like Nick Cage. Like Nick Cage, and I agree, it's like he might not be everybody's type, but he has this kind of extra something special. And you look at his '90s output. I mean, and especially like after, like a little bit before and after Vampire's Kiss, like Moonstruck and Raising Arizona and that sort of stuff, and then into the mid late '90s, you got Leaving Las Vegas,
So he has a
Eight
very
Mil.
interesting career because he wins the Oscar for Leaving Las Vegas,
Yes,
and then he goes the action route.
yeah,
He
yeah.
does Con Air, uh, Face Off, which I love. Face Off, I
Oh,
fucking
it's
love Face Off.
a
That's so
masterpiece.
great.
There's so many levels of his acting in there that he just deserved to like to win the acting award of all time. I mean, and John Travolta does well as well because he's like trying to do his impression of Nick Cage or whatever. But Nick Cage steals the whole fucking show. And actually, again, good director, which I agree with one of your points too. I would like to, and I'm not trying to argue, but I would like to say instead of rein in, I think the director has to have a specific vision, and also that vision has to be kind of in simpatico with like what Nick Cage wants to try. So, yeah, you get something like even recently with like Mandy, where he was trying to be like all fucking like heavy metal and stuff. Like that really fit in with that. some of his things, like even Vampire's Kiss, the voice I think is one thing that if you took out that weirdo voice, I think actually this like we might not even be talking about this movie just because that choice of his voice made everything so infinitely fucking weird and unintentionally hilarious. You know, it never just goes away, Alva.
Should we talk about the movie?
I would love
Should
to.
we get
Yeah.
into it?
Yeah.
Well, so okay, so this really is a cult classic. I say cult classic kind of loosely on this podcast, but like,
Yeah.
when people think of Nicolas Cage, they think of those movies we just mentioned.
Right.
And I forgot to throw The Rock in there. That's another good one.
Welcome to the Rock.
But yeah, I think I don't think a lot of people have seen this movie, and
Yeah.
I think they may have seen the clip, the most famous clip from the movie. I never misspelled anything, not one time. A B C D. He goes through the whole fucking alphabet. But people, I think, have seen that clip, like just kind of
Yeah.
floating around on YouTube.
Yep.
It's a popular meme. But
Yeah.
but because people haven't probably seen this, like, tell us like what it's about.
All right, so Vampire's Kiss, and I think I'll start with a touchstone. Like I think a lot of people, especially if they're in movies, have probably seen like American Psycho, and it's almost kind of like the exact same.
I'm glad you mentioned that because when I was
Yeah.
looking up trivia,
Yeah.
Christian Bale based his performance of Patrick Bateman on this guy. What's his name? It's
Peter
Peter
Lowe.
Lowe. Peter
Did
Lowe.
did he say that? Did he admit that? Because I always had a sneaking
Yes,
suspicion that he
yes.
did.
Yeah.
Okay, that fucking nails it. But the thing is, like, it works. It's the same kind of story. And like, I don't want to go too. I think American Psycho does it a little bit better and is like more. I'm not gonna give too much credence to Vampire's Kiss's story, but American Psycho. It is kind of more of a commentary on like that whole yuppie scene.
Right.
But there is a little bit of this in here. I actually read something interesting. Maybe you did some research on this, but the Vampire's Kiss script actually was like kind of like based on the writer's feelings about being like slowly driven insane and trapped by his
Well,
girlfriend.
yeah, that's what I looked up.
Well,
Yeah,
that sucks for that girl.
he was going through a breakup, and he felt like she was sucking his soul. So he wrote
Yeah.
this story. Very interesting writer. The writer who did this, Joseph Minion,
Yeah.
he wrote the After Hours. Martin Scorsese directed After
Did
Hours
he
movie.
really?
Yeah, he did. I've never seen that movie.
Whoa.
I really want to,
Yeah.
but yeah, he wrote that. That's about kind of the two big things he's written. But
Wait, is After Hours the vignettes one with different stories, or is that
no, I haven't seen
no?
it, but I think it's like this. It's basically a guy just a crazy night. Basically, he just experiences
okay.
the crazy night. That's all I know. I haven't seen it.
I guess I haven't seen that one. But yeah, Vampire's Kiss. Yeah, and it sounds and it is misogynistic, but I think there's a point to it. But yeah, so it's a yuppie guy in New York, and he has this kind of like one night stand or something with this woman who turns out to be like a vampire, and like there's a bat trapped, and it's loosely kind of like he has this. He's slowly driven insane. I think it's not as if you've seen American Psycho, it's not as like clear cut that this world may or may not exist. It's like, no, this is all fucking in Peter Lowe's head, and he isn't actually bitten by a bat or anything, but he's slowly driven insane. He thinks that he's turning into a vampire. He harasses his coworker Alva.
Oh, poor Alva. This woman.
Yeah,
What she has
I
to
know.
endure.
It is like I remember. Okay, and to go back to what you were saying is like I've always I think ever since I saw well in the 90s like The Rock, Con Air, that sort of thing, I was fascinated by Nic Cage. I knew he was a movie star, but it wasn't until I saw Leaving Las Vegas where I just like I talked to this with actually a guy I work with. He's 84 years old or something. He's a lovely guy. His name is Ted. And my office is covered with like Nic Cage memorabilia, like Nic Cage pillows and shit. And he's from Minnesota, I think, or Midwest. He goes, "Oh, so I guess you like Nic Cage, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Ted, I love him." He's like, "Oh yeah, man, that movie Leaving Las Vegas. Oh, that was I did not like that one." And I'm like, "Oh, you didn't like it? You didn't think it was good?" And he's like, "No, it was sad." And I was like, "Yeah, I watched that like a teen, and I rewatched it for Elizabeth Shue's tits, but then
He's hot. Oh god.
but then I
Sorry.
realized it's like I hate how I feel watching this movie. It makes me so fucking sad and depressed. And at an age where I'm like, yeah, this is fucking misery, and some people just live just like awful lives. and Nic Cage brought so much like depth and character to him, and was like so weird and all that. And but yeah, besides that, I saw the famous YouTube montage Nic Cage loses his shit. If you've never seen it, Google Nic Cage loses his shit, and it has all the highlights. Now it stops at, I think this was back in 2011, so there's no Mandy.
Oh, they need to do a part 2 because there's a lot more.
Yeah, they should. They may have already, but 99%, well, not 99, but a shit ton of those clips are just from Vampire's Kiss. I noticed it looked the same, and he also was talking this weird accent. I was like, I guess I have to see this fucking movie because this looks like a weird movie. And sure enough, from start to finish, there are some lulls where it's like, you can tell it's like kind of a bad movie. But when it gets going and it gets weird, you're just engrossed and you're like, what the hell am I watching? Like, where is this going? But it's just like a character piece. It's just a window into Peter Lowe's slow descent into just sheer madness. Where I love, and I don't know, spoilers or anything like that. Just skipping to
We're
the very
spoiling. We're spoiling.
Yeah, fuck it.
We're not gonna go in order. We'll just talk about the movie.
1989.
Yeah.
The very end where he is just on the streets, and I heard, I'm not sure, but the trivia is that like they couldn't hire extras. There's actually actual
Yes.
New Yorkers walking by.
That was part of my trivia.
And he's just descent into madness. And I also like the editing too, where like cuts in between conversation in his mind with a lovely young woman versus him just having a giant wood plank and blood on his face and just murmuring. And it's like, that's actually skill. That actually, again, if he didn't have that weirdo voice and he just used kind of his own kind of normal voice, that scene actually probably would have won him a fucking Academy Award or some shit.
So I'm actually glad you brought that point up. So this is my thing with the movie. I wasn't clear or not if this was a comedy or because you can go about it two ways.
Yep.
You like you said, you could do the crazy Nic Cage voice, or you could play it straight.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do it both ways. And when you go on Wikipedia, it says black comedy, and I'm like, and part of me, so no, because I'm like sitting there watching this movie, and I hadn't watched the trailer before. I watched the trailer after. You watch the trailer,
yeah.
It's sold as a comedy. It was actually advertised as a comedy. Yeah. But like, if you hadn't seen the trailer, or which most people probably won't if they see this because it's like over 30 years old, like, I think you would just be like, what, like, what is this? What is tonally like? What is this movie going for? I think. I don't know. Do you think it was like? I have a theory. Like, do you think? Because obviously, this came from like a kind of dark place when the guy wrote it. Do you think it started off as like kind of a straightforward like kind of movie, and maybe when Nicolas Cage shot it morphed into a comedy? Do you think? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think that. I think like, and I'm not sure the politics or anything in this, but I think Nic Cage probably got the part, decided he was going to do the voice because he starts with the voice, and then he started doing it, and probably he was locked in a contract or something like that, and they just couldn't stop him.
Not to interrupt, I hate to interrupt you, but also I've learned this. Dennis Quaid was actually, so Nic Cage gets offered the role. Okay, so Nic Cage gets offered the role. He has to bow out. They cast Dennis Quaid. He goes off to do Inner Space, the Joe Dante movie. Nic Cage, against his agent's wishes, his agent told him not to do it. He said, it's not the movie you should do after Moonlight. He decides to do it.
That's fucking balls. Yeah, again, like, Moonstruck was fucking huge, and like it had Cher, and then he goes to do this, and it's like that could tank his fucking like career, but it was a flop, so nobody saw it. So
it made less than $1 million. I looked it up. It had a $2 million budget, less than $1 million at the box office.
I didn't hear that Randy Quaid. So Randy
Dennis
Quaid was
Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid was originally going to be in this one.
That's what it says according to Wikipedia.
Yeah,
I mean, not everything's factual on Wikipedia, but that's what it says.
Yeah, and I do think, somebody saw this fucking movie after like it got released, and they're like, there's no way it's going to take it seriously. I think if I haven't looked at the script, but if you look at the script, I bet there's no hint of like comedy or anything like that. There's just things that make it wacky. Again, kind of like with The Room, where Tommy Wiseau says, "Oh, it's a black comedy." It's like, no, you dumbass. You wrote this dumb script about your life, and you wanted to make it real, but it was too serious, and you're too pretentious. You douche. because there's things like, so for instance, like the bat. The bat is just a rubber bat, and it looks goofy when he's like trying to get rid of the bat from his room. It's
Shoo.
and the fucking voice, yeah. Again, going back to it, he's like shh, and the woman who's like gathering her quotes.
Psychiatrist.
Yeah, like the woman gathering.
Oh
her
yeah, the one he
quotes,
hooks up with. Okay, yeah.
and yeah, it hooks up, and she's like shoe. And he's like shh.
Also, I was thinking about this. We're jumping around, and that's okay. But the scene where he's really losing it. He goes to like a party store, and he's buying the fangs. He can't afford the $20 fangs, so he has to buy like the $2 fangs. Like that. I mean, like that probably wasn't. I feel like that was probably not in the original script, and I think as the movie probably morphed, they're like, oh, let's add this.
Yeah. Because now I don't know. Maybe that if that was in the script, then yeah, maybe it was a comedy. I also like I'm getting kind of like flashes of like he acted the hell out of this. I gotta say, like he like as he kind of slowly descends into like madness and he is realizing he's a vampire, he kind of like just kind of sulks about it. He's like, I guess this is my life now. And he goes and he's like, I guess I need some teeth. Oh, I guess I need to bite some things. Like, oh, I guess I need to chase this this pigeon around. I need to feed. So it's like, and then that is so fucking goofy too. Like, I want to know if that's in the script because he literally puts in his fucking teeth and chases a pigeon around like a fucking park or a bench in New York. That's crazy.
Also, he eats cockroaches.
Yeah, and that's the famous thing where like he was really. And again, he was young, and so he felt like he needed to make his mark in the world. So, he was like, I'm going to eat live cockroach, and I think he ate 2 of them. And the urban legend is that like the director didn't really need another take, and he was like, no, let's do another.
Okay, so I actually had this in trivia, but I'm glad you're mentioning it. So, originally in the script, so I guess it was like a raw egg, but Nic Cage was like, no.
No.
Like we
love eggs.
gotta go bigger. But the funniest part of the whole fucking thing is like, I guess animal activists like PETA, they like
yeah.
off, and I guess they like let's see if I can find the quote.
They boycotted the fucking movie. Like, oh, that's why it flopped.
Yeah. No. So okay, the cockroach scene was entirely Nicolas Cage's idea, a decision he greatly regretted later on. Cage also received a number of calls from animal rights activists about the scene and defended his actions by asking them if they could honestly declare that they never used a can of Raid in their homes.
Oh, get fucked. Yeah, I
use Raid.
I think about that sometimes. I think about it sometimes as far as like PETA, and I think sometimes they go too far, but I do respect people like respecting animals' rights and that sort of thing. But I always say like, well, that's why I say I'm always like, well, do they respect all living organisms? Well, I guess they do if they're fucking, calling Nic Cage like, hey, bro, don't eat more cockroaches. They're living things.
Also, the pigeon he catches, they drugged it. So it was like moving on. It was the Nicolas Cage didn't know that they drugged it, so it was like kind of like moving all slow. Nicolas Cage is probably thinking like, "Oh man, I got one."
I am a vampire.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, that stupid fucking voice. It does it. It does it all. I want to talk.
I would like to see this movie. Like, I don't know. I think it would be cool if they remade this movie and played it straight.
Yeah. I like. And I don't know of any, because I'm trying to think of other movies. I mean, there's like Jacob's Ladder, where it's like, is it real? Is it not real? And descend into madness, that sort of thing. But besides like American Psycho and this one, there isn't really, and they're both black comedies. And no, American Psycho, because I read the book.
American Psycho's like,
yeah.
I always thought American Psycho was kind of more of a satire on that.
Right.
Like you said, like the yuppie culture. This, I don't know. I think it's one of those things. I think maybe they retroactively said it was, but
right. Yeah, and I watched American Psycho and read the book before I watched Vampire's Kiss, and I was like, oh, this is like the same sort of thing. So I might have kind of put like the whole satire on Vampire's Kiss, but yeah, there was much more of that in American Psycho, and it seems like there's another movie out there like that, but I can't think of it right now. Where it's like yuppies and fuck culture, but
Less than Zero, is that? maybe.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, that's
yeah.
another
There's another Bret Easton Ellis
Brett. Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
My problem with it. Well, I have several. um,
With Vampire's Kiss.
well, no, I'm sitting there like I don't know. Shouldn't they have made it more? Because like there is a point in the movie where, and I think it's the scene where he's in the bathroom. I will actually love this scene because he's where am I? I don't know where I am. Where am I? He's like looking in the mirror, and then this guy is like taking a shit. He's like, hey, I'm on the can here. Keep it down.
Actually, you know what? I guess it because that was if that was if that was in the script, that was hilarious. In fact, I hadn't seen the movie in a while, and I forgot that old man was there, and that's classic comedy. Because here's the thing. Now, here's the thing: is Nic Cage was playing the fuck out of that. Like he was actually playing, kind of a heightened, maybe more stagier, like kind of like old school Hollywood version of somebody who was looking at themselves in the mirror and like freaking out because they don't have a reflection and they think they're a vampire. And he was playing it so serious, but also over the top. And then all of a sudden you hear that voice of the old man, and it's instant comedy. Just instant fucking comedy.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. There's moments like that where you're like, I don't know, was it a comedy? but my problem with that scene is like, it's like, okay, we as an audience immediately know, like halfway through the movie, that he is crazy. I would have liked to maybe, I don't know, maybe we see like a vision. Maybe we see it from his perspective in his mind where he really doesn't see his reflection. I don't know. I just would like.
Yeah, that is a problem because again, going from American Psycho, like there's kind of things we can say like, oh, well, maybe that's actually this weird world, or, the guy basically gets away with murder. With this one, I agree with you actually. Yeah. And it's weird pacing because again, there's some parts that I just forget or like fast forward because I'm like, this is boring. This is dull. And it's only the moments where he's like freaking out. And also the moments with Alva are like,
okay.
Holy shit.
Well, I like him, but like, holy shit, so much is dedicated to that subplot where they're trying to find. Okay, so what is it? He works at a literary agency or something, right?
Oh, I forget, probably, yeah.
But they misplaced a contract,
right?
And it's like, and this poor girl, mind you, this contract was set up before they even started working there, so it's not really on them if they can't find it, because
and plus the guy's going crazy, so who knows? It probably doesn't exist.
But also there's a scene too, which is really funny, where he's like, oh, how am I going to get out of this one, Alva? I'm going to have to explain to him that I can't find the contract. And he calls him and he's just like, oh yeah, don't take your time. Don't worry about it. No rush. And then he's like, see, Alva, I couldn't even get a word out.
I guess it is fucking comedy. I mean, I don't know. I
don't know. That's the thing. That's the thing about this movie. I have no idea. Because there is I'm telling you, there's a version of this where it's like, this could be a horror movie, like straight up scary and intense, and like if you played it straight.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a scene, and I got really uncomfortable because there's a scene where he's literally chasing Alva around the office. Nobody's in there, into some like back alley or somewhere behind the thing.
Oh, he rapes her, right? Doesn't he rape her?
He doesn't actually rape her, but I mean, he's like assaulting her. I mean, and she's like, please don't rape me. And it's like intense. And I'm like, how is this in the fucking, like, the script is a comedy? Yeah, it gets really intense. And then he also puts the gun to his head, right?
Oh yeah, because because there's that's another thing too, because what I kind of like about it too is well, that's something I think that's cool, because it's like because she goes to her I guess cousin or whatever, like, hey, this guy's like messing with me, I need a gun. And then, but it's blanks because she's like, oh, you shouldn't be carrying a gun, like you're gonna hurt yourself. But that kind of feeds into his fantasy that he, is invincible. So like little stuff like that, it's kind of cool. But like, I don't know, there's a point, because that right there is like, well, I don't know, like, is he invincible or isn't he? But like,
yeah.
But then it's like, also, it's like, well, we know we saw him see his reflection, so we know that he's crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, it would. I think with a better director, it would have been played a little bit more ambiguously, and that would have been cool. Again, like, this might have been like a really great movie without the voice and maybe some more ambiguity. And because if we didn't know that there were blanks in the gun and he just pulled the trigger, and like, then that actually would have been cool and weird. I mean, not saying it would be the fucking Prestige Christopher Nolan, but Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Oh, maybe.
Also,
I would love Christopher Nolan to remake Vampires.
oh my god, I'm nutting right now. Oh my god, Vampire's Kiss by Christopher Nolan. Oh, that'd be cool.
I do want to mention while we're on Alva, we have a mutual friend, and I've known her forever. One of the pushers at the Push Comedy Theater, their group, the Pushers, Alba Woolard, Alba with a B. I she's never seen Vampire's Kiss before, and I worked with her before she moved to Chicago. And I wouldn't terrorize her, but I showed her the clip of Nic Cage terrorizing Alba in there, and then every time I see her, I'll go, Alba, Alba, and he kind of rocks back and forth, and you're like, Alba, and he jumps to the table. There you are, Alba. I did that once. I jumped on her desk and said, "There you are, Alba."
Really jump on her desk? That's awesome. Then they actually find the contract, and then he's like, "It's too late, Alba. It's too late." But to go back to that rape scene's fucking weird too. Cause she's like, "Don't rape me, rape you, I will," and he like wags his tongue.
Oh yeah, I know that. I know it's an icky scene, but like again, Nic Cage is. I mean, he throws in those little flourishes. Yeah, it's planned, but
I mean,
again,
that's the thing. There's like not really any like jokes.
You're right.
You know what
But
I mean?
you know what? You've always convinced me otherwise, because like the scene in the bathroom, the phone call sort of thing. You know, like there aren't any jokes, but like, you know, a lot of comedy is about incongruity, where it's like something's played so seriously and all of a sudden like they pull the rug out from under you and like reality isn't what it seems anymore. And that's instant comedy. So there actually are things that you remind me of like, well, maybe this is a goddamn comedy.
Well, maybe. Well, also the scene at the end where like he's talking to a building, but he thinks he's in his psychiatrist's office.
Right.
And he's like, well, you know, I did rape somebody, but you know, no need to worry, you know. And also, you know, I did murder someone, but you know, I also turned into a vampire, you know. It's been a long day.
It's been a long time. Yeah, that actually is like, but I mean, he's saying it. Meanwhile, he's basically like living on the streets and eating foul creatures. So it's basically a tragic ending. But that line, yeah, it's a kind of, so I guess it is a black comedy. The darkest.
I don't know. I'm okay. I stand by the fact. Okay, I'm gonna stand by it because Dennis Quaid, right? If he plays this, he probably plays it. He's not really a comedic actor, right? Well, neither is Nicolas Cage. I don't know. I don't have an answer.
Wrong.
I don't think Dennis Quaid. You know, I think he plays it straight.
I don't know because like I don't know. I one of my favorite roles of his is Kingpin. Have you seen that one? The Fairley Brothers.
You're thinking Randy Quaid, Dennis Quaid.
Wait, Dennis Quaid is. Oh wait, I am thinking Randy Quaid. I get those fuckers mixed up so much.
Okay. First of all, let's litigate this. Randy Quaid and Vampire's Kiss. What's that?
No, Randy Quaid. That would have been about the same as Nic Cage. He would have had a stupid voice. He'd be like, "Yeah, well, I don't know where
the
that
shitter's full, Alba. The shitter's full." Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm just gonna stand by that. I think this probably was like a real script, and I think it's interesting too because this director didn't really do much after this. He did a lot of TV stuff. It's a guy named Robert Bierman, so probably some up and coming director. Nicolas Cage is like pretty big at that point. He's just done Moonstruck or whatever.
Yep.
I'm gonna say I think this was a serious movie, and Nicolas Cage turned it into a farce.
Yeah.
And what's the director gonna do? He's like new.
Yeah. I enjoy. I actually looked that up too because I was like, oh shit. Like I knew like Nic Cage's trajectory in his filmography, and then I looked up that director and I was like, oh yeah, I bet that this flop probably ruined his career. I was glad to see Alva. I forget her name who plays it. She actually went on. She's still doing work, which is actually really really cool. Because she was terrorized, and I feel so bad for her.
Yeah, you really feel for this character.
Yeah. Oh, Alva. But nothing big. I don't think I recognize a lot of the titles, but she's done a lot of Spanish speaking stuff, so maybe.
Well, the vampire, Jessica Biel. That's Flashdance.
Wait, what?
From Flashdance, Jessica Biel's the lady who is the vampire. The
Wait.
titular vampire.
Oh, yeah.
Feeling.
But she looks weird in this one, right? Did she or no?
I mean, she looks like her. I mean,
Oh, yeah, no. Oh, you know what? I'm thinking of Jennifer Grey. Then she got
you think of Jennifer Grey. You
yeah.
you're getting Randy Quaid. Oh, I love this. Let's recast
Randy
this.
Quaid did
Jennifer
Quaid.
Grey is the vampire, and Randy Quaid is.
I was like, oh, did she have her nose job?
You're like, I don't remember her.
I don't remember her.
Let's get into. I got some reviews at the time.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna throw some at you. Tell me what you think.
Okay. All right.
Actually, I'm gonna start with a negative review. This is a pretty funny review. Peter Travers, Rolling Stone.
Oh boy.
The bloodsuckers in this thriller may not have much bite, but here's a movie that can. It's guaranteed to drain the life out of an audience in minutes. 0 out of 100. Rolling Stone.
Oh God. Yeah, I don't doubt anybody who went and actually saw this. Like it's a bad movie, right? And especially if you don't know anything going into it, or like you're not a Nic Cage fan and you're just like, all right, I just want to be entertained. You will hate this fucking movie. I simultaneously love it and give it 100 out of 100, but I also get the 0 out of 100. In fact, I sometimes just like, I'm like, why am I rewatching this piece of shit?
So I'm actually glad you said that, because I found a review that was like exactly what I think of this movie. A bold Empire magazine, a bold but ultimately doomed effort that will irritate all but cultists of the bizarre and the most rabid fans of Mr. Cage. I think, yeah, I mean, I think if you're not a Nic Cage, there's two types of Nic Cage, right? There's like the leading man action star, and then there's like kooky, crazy Nic Cage, which sometimes kind of intersect, right? You saw that with Face Off. So, I mean, if you're not like a Nic Cage guy, I just don't think you're not gonna get anything out of this.
Yeah, and again, like as a character study, there's not much more out of it. It's like early on that the guy is getting more and more just bizarre behaviors and just mentally not there, right? And you kind of know where it goes, and there's some comedy here and there, but it really is just kind of almost monotonous. Like that, I think the first time I remember watching it, I was just like, I don't know, there's some freakouts, but I'm kind of bored with it. And again, I think the better character study is like with that satire of American Psycho, or like the more psychedelic, like is this real, isn't real, of like Jacob's Ladder and some other, freaky things. Or even, sometimes it doesn't go far enough. Like I'd rather watch something like David Lynch, where I kind of can just kind of
David Lynch should redo Vampire's Kiss.
Yeah.
I would.
I was gonna say, like, I have to rewatch after I rewatched
Wild at Heart.
Yes, I have to rewatch Wild at Heart because it's been a while. Because I think the last time I watched Wild at Heart was actually before Vampire's Kiss, I think.
I lent it to a mutual friend, also friend of the pod, Jeff Ballou. He still, I lent this fucking movie to him 2 years ago, maybe 3. He still hasn't watched it.
Oh,
and every time I come over, the dust on my copy of Wild at Heart just keeps piling on.
Oh, come on, Jeff. Watch the fucking movie. It's a good one. It's David Lynch and Nic Cage. What else? And then Laura Dern on top of it. What else do you need?
P. Cotton is Laura Dern, too.
Yes.
All right. This is the most positive review I could find. The New Yorker, Pauline Kael. Pauline Kael. Okay. I've mentioned her a lot on this podcast. She hates everything. And somehow she liked this movie. She gave it a 70 out of 100. The picture seems to crumble because the writer and director don't distinguish Lowe's fantasies from his actual life. But with Cage in the role, we certainly see the delusions at work. This daring kid starts over the top and just keeps going. He's airily amazing.
I have to applaud her. I mean, that's prescient because actually, I mean, although I say it's a piece of shit, it's monotonous and that sort of stuff, it does honestly have not only the most like hip and ironic, like, oh, look at Nic Cage freaking out. But again, I think he does good work in it. I think he actually, like at times, especially at the end, I feel sorry for this guy, right?
I don't. He's a piece of shit.
He is a piece of shit, but
maybe it's not his fault because he has a mental disability.
Exactly. And that's where the script is kind of good, and that's actually where the acting is good, where it's like, okay, even if he's a jerk off, yuppie, whatever, does anybody deserve to like be this fucking tortured by their own mind? And I don't think so. I guess that's where it gets into tragedy for me. Maybe I'm just a gloomy fucking person.
One thing the big thing about the review I agree with is like, yeah, like I feel like they just gave up the surprise too early.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I totally agree with that.
I pretty much went over everything in trivia, but I have one tidbit. You're gonna love. This is Nic Cage's favorite movie he's ever done.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't think
this was 2018. It was a GQ interview. He said this is his favorite movie.
So it is a little surprising because I mean he's had accolades, he won the Academy Award and all that sort of stuff, but it makes sense in the thought that like I think he did whatever he wanted to with that movie.
Yes,
and that's actually that actually where you said where he wasn't pulled back in the reins. But I think that's probably because he might not have liked like the kind of misogynistic like, oh, this woman is ruining my life, and he took it in a different direction. But he got The Voice. Somebody should have told him no to The Voice. He had all these like weird Nosferatu faces. Don't do those faces. So yeah, it was really like a lot of people say it was his kind of like lab to do his stuff. He was so kind of early on, he wanted him, and he had a fucking cockroach. Like somebody needed to tell that guy no and pull him back just a little bit, and it maybe could have been a success or something. But I mean, I think that if anybody had seen that movie, it might have just been like just done for Nic Cage. He never would have gotten anything else. Like, oh, I can't picture this guy being a leading man in like, Con Air.
This was a pretty big bomb. I can't believe he survived it.
Yeah, it's insane, isn't it? I mean,
the reviews the reviews at the time were pretty brutal.
What did you look up? What else came out around? This was 1989.
This is 1989. Right? What else came out around that time?
Yeah,
well,
so
89. Like, oh my God, 89. That was like that was a huge year for movies. You had Batman.
Yeah.
The Last Crusade. Back to the Future 2, Lethal Weapon 2, like.
So I think probably just he got overshadowed and nobody fucking remembered it, I guess. I don't know. Like, but yeah, I was thinking like.
I'm curious. I'm gonna look it up real quick. I wonder if it came out during the summer because that was like a famous.
If it came out during the summer, like that was a shitty idea. This feels like a fucking January movie.
Oh my God, June 2nd, 1989, smack dab in the middle of the summer. So that makes sense. So like, also Ghostbusters 2 came out that year.
Oh yeah.
Did I mention Back to the Future Part 2
that
came out?
Get fucked.
Yeah, that was like a big year for movies.
Yeah. So luckily for Nic Cage, Batman came out and saved him.
Holy shit! Oh my God. All right, I'm gonna go into categories.
Categories.
What is your best? What do you think the best scene of the movie is?
The best scene of the movie is.
Well, I'm gonna put a little asterisk. I think let's not mention I never missed out anything. Not one thing. A, B, C, D. Because I feel like that's too easy.
Yeah. I will again go back to I like the editing, I like the acting of at the very end where he's in between where we see his internal like what's going on and then we see like him actually on the streets. I think that is like again very tragic and like it's weird because he still has that weird fucking voice but he's like talking to himself. But again, I think it's good. And like anything with Nic Cage, I put an asterisk on it and say like, all right, that's my like actually good, like from me knowing a bit of acting and like watching movies and being a fan. That's the actual good part. Now, besides that freak out moment, I do love when they're in the back seat of the car and he does that freak out where he just says, and sometimes when like, it rains and pours and like shitty things are happening to me a lot. Sometimes I'll say to myself, it never just goes away, Al. And then he freaks out, goddamn fucking files. I love it. Yeah, it's all about the freakouts in here. Yeah, I will say that's my favorite freakout moment. I do love, and I'm glad you mentioned it, the comedy of like that guy taking a shit in the bathroom. That's my favorite comedy moment. Yeah, that's like the three Cages. Is like the serious actor, like going deep and like monotonous and slow and taking his time and listening, leaving Las Vegas. And then there's like the over the top craziness, and that's Vampire's Kiss in a nutshell. Vampire's Kiss. And then there's recent like Mandy going over the top and that sort of thing. And then there is like the comedy, which like Raising Arizona is one of my favorite comedies of all time. And I mean, Nic Cage happens to be in it, but it's just a really fucking good comedy. So those are 3 Cages: Bizarro, dramatic, comedy, and you get pretty much all 3 in this one. Maybe a little less in the drama, but
Here's my thing
yeah.
with Nic Cage, and I think it's the Tommy Wiseau thing. It's the way they talk, and it's like every time I hear him talk, and I look at his face, I just can't take him serious. I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah,
And I think that's my hold up with Nic Cage. And I'm watching like I rewatched The Rock like within a year.
Oh yeah,
and you know I'm just not buying it. It's just like
yeah.
I do like him in Adaptation. I think Adaptation actually kind of works because he's supposed to be kind of a loser, and his twin brother is kind of eccentric and crazy. I think that is, man, if that is the perfect role for him.
It is so good. I mean, that was also, and that was only in like 2001 or 2003.
That was 2002. He was nominated for that. He should have fucking won. I don't know who won that.
He should have won, and it's kind of like an Academy thing, you know. It's like, oh, he's playing 2 different characters, and yeah. What one? Do you know that year?
Actually, I'm gonna look that up. 2002.
So 2002.
So that would have been the 2003 Oscars because it came out in 2002. 2000. I can't talk. 2003 best.
It better be a good fucking movie to beat out Nic Cage. Like, who the fuck? Yeah, I love that movie. And
it was Adrian Brody for The Pianist. Remember The Pianist, directed by Roman Polanski?
Yeah, I know. It's like that was a good movie, but
it might be a good movie. I haven't seen it.
It is a good movie, and it's about a heavy topic, but unfortunately, it's fucking Roman Polanski. So
yeah, what the fuck? I mean, come on, fucking Pianist, give it to fucking Cage. Fucking.
I know. Adrian Brody was good in that, and like he hasn't been good at anything else, so we'll give it to him. Nic Cage still has a career, so.
What are you talking about? Adrian Brody was excellent in The Village.
Oh Jesus Christ! I still have yet to watch.
That was his big follow up to The Pianist playing.
Oh god. Yeah, the adaptation. I mean, that's one. And you know, like, with any like good movie or like piece of art or like one of your favorite celebrities, like I have like really personal attachments to a lot of Nic Cage stuff, and like adaptation. Like I have some, like a lot of people in this day and age, some pretty bad like anxiety, depression, just like mental health problems over. I'm not very well adjusted. And that movie came out at a time where like I was pretty like out there. And the monologue that he does where we hear in his head what's going on in his head was like so me. I watched that like over and over and over again. I was like, oh my God, that's like fucking like my stupid, like shitty mind. And I remember I played that for my brother because like we've never really seen eye to eye. And I was like, dude, like look at this awesome like monologue and like watch this and you'll get me. And he just like after he watched it, he just turned it off and was like, "You need help?" And just like walked away.
You should have showed him Vampire's Kiss. Like, look, you want to get me? Do you want to get me? Watch this. Watch this scene where
in the right file, you know, according to alphabetical order: A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P Q R S T U V W X Y Z. Ha!
So honestly, that part's obviously classic, but what makes that scene is the psychiatrist is like, well, you know your ABCs.
Yes. And again, I think that's actually like comedy. So if that's in the script, then fucking like that's comedy gold right there.
I would say my best scene besides that is I just really like I love when he goes into the party shop and buys the fangs and he can't afford the $20 fangs. But
yeah, why couldn't he afford it, by the way? Did he? I forgot that part.
Like, well, that's the thing. I mean, he could have used a debit card.
Yeah, was it because he's like, oh, like vampires can't use? I forget why, but it's
no. He looks in his wallet and he doesn't have enough cash. But I mean, this guy's like a Wall Street yuppie. Yeah, I would think he would have like a credit card.
Yeah, that is really. I don't know. But you know what? I don't like anything with this movie. I don't want to think about it too hard. Because Vampire's Kiss at the end of the day is a stupid.
I think that's the scene. Because I laughed hysterically that scene. And then he's like, "Oh, you have anything else cheaper?" And the guy is just like, "Yeah, here's some $2, cheap." Yeah, and then all the stuff with him, just like,
Uh,
like
oh,
just
I just had
running
a flash.
around with the.
I just had a flash of intuition. What if this was like you probably heard this because you're a movie guy. The infamous casting of Eric Stoltz as Marty McFly in Back to the Future, the original casting.
Yes, yes, I
So I
do.
wonder if like that's what happened here, where it was like, like okay, let's get this actor to play it. Nah, it's not working out. Um, but then they just kept going. Like, what if Eric Stoltz had just kept going? They never had the balls to fire Eric Stoltz.
That's hilarious. You gotta think about that, Eric. I mean, they filmed a lot of that movie already.
Yeah, I think 5 months or something like that, and that's kind of I think 3 or 5 months or something like that, and that's insane. Even 3 months. I mean,
Because Michael J. Fox couldn't do that movie because he was doing that that show,
yeah, Family Ties.
Family
Yeah, I just watched
Ties.
the documentary. I think it's called Out of Time. They go over that, and he was actually working, and like they were working him like a dog, man. He would go on set like at night, and film his scenes,
I
and
know
then
that's the movie that gave him Parkinson's.
probably if they figure that out, they're like, oh man, Parkinson's for working on set too
Fuck.
much. Then that guy, because he didn't get any sleep at all or anything like that. But guess what? We're the better for it. Although, if he had to do it over, he would like, yeah, I probably just wouldn't have done Family Ties.
Yeah, that's my best scene.
Family Ties and Tom Hanks for randomly. I saw some weird episode.
Yes, it's like College
You know that one?
Humor, and they talk about like weird episodes, and they talk
Yeah.
about his uncle who's like hammer. Like, yeah, you go ahead, talk about it.
Yo, no, where he has he's like just a raging alcoholic,
Yeah.
and he comes home and everybody's like in love with him, blah blah blah, and then I forgot. I think his name was his character's name was Alex P. Keaton.
Michael J. Fox's character.
Michael J. Fox. I forgot.
Yeah,
Martin
it was,
McFly.
yeah.
Martin McFly. Alex P. Keaton, and he came down late at night, and his uncle was still like getting drunk, who's played by Tom Hanks, and he like gives him a beer, and he's like, "No, I'm a kid, I don't drink." And then he runs out of beer. He's like, "Hey, you want to go get some more beer?" And Alex P. Keaton's like, "Nah, I think we should just call it a night." And Tom Hanks just like yells at him and starts drinking fucking like the alcohol that's in like a bottle of like vanilla extract or something.
Yeah.
It's weird. Anyways, but
yeah, for anyone who's interested, College Humor's YouTube channel, the Tom Hanks, what is that show called? Family Ties episode. Just look up Tom Hanks Family Ties. It's hilarious.
I wonder if Nic Cage is gonna do TV. It's interesting that he didn't do it already. Like he probably was offered a shit ton of money, maybe. But I think churning out those shitty movies, like where he was like making 13 a year or whatever, I think that got him back in the black a little bit more easily. But like, I would love it if he did a TV series. Maybe David Lynch, if David Lynch is listening. I don't know.
He would have fit right at home in Twin Peaks: The Return.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Fire, walk with me. So here's my question. We're getting so off topic, but I fucking love it. Now that Bruce Willis sadly is retiring because of health concerns.
Yeah, I saw that. That's
Nicolas Cage doesn't need to do this anymore because his debts are paid. So who's gonna take up the mantle of shitty straight to VOD, Redbox, DVD movies?
I don't know. Then I don't care. I jumped for joy, and I was like so ecstatic that he is in the black and now he can do whatever he wants to. And again, like I think he's gonna keep on doing it. But he might actually do some more shitty movies just because he believes in it, sort of thing. And
I don't think he believed in those
no.
Redbox movies.
Some of them, like I think probably I mean, I'm putting on rosy colored glasses, but I think the ones that did better were probably like ones that you cared about, like what is the Lovecraftian one, In the Color?
Well, that is an actual movie. That's not a shitty Redbox movie. That was an actual like movie. It was kind of, it wasn't huge.
Yeah.
But, right. Like, those to me are like those to me were perfect because it was like, oh, we want Nic Cage, he'll do it, but also kind of artsy and kind of interesting.
What was the
Pig? Did you see Pig?
Oh, Pig was fucking. I mean, I loved it. It solidified. It's like, oh, thank God, because like if this sucked, I might have been turned off maybe for probably not forever, but for like for a hot minute. It was so good, and like I don't want to, I guess, spoil anything,
Oh
but
yeah, don't spoil it because I still want to see it.
yeah, it's something that you might like if you think about it at some level you'll just respect Nick Cage for like his acting ability in that. Now you may or may not like the movie. I don't know if you'll like it or not, but you may or may not like it. But overall you'll be like, hey, I see what he's going for there. I see what the director was going for. And again, like we talked about, is like if the director has a vision and Nick Cage is on board, then it's probably going to be a good movie. I want to talk about one cut towards the end though, because I talked with a few people about this, and I have a theory on it, but it hasn't been confirmed. But
For
I
this
guess that's
movie or
for Pig, not for Vampire's
oh,
Kiss. Sorry, getting ahead of ourselves.
Pig's Kiss.
Oh, we Pig's Kiss. Oh God.
Oh man. What is the what do you think the worst scene of the movie is?
Probably one of the scenes I can't remember. Like it was again. I watched it because I saw the Nick Cage loses his shit on YouTube,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, this is great! This is great!" And I had already seen the Wicker Man, which is another.
Ooh.
And they just came out. He just came out saying, and I don't fucking believe this, but I don't know what to believe anymore. He came out saying that all the comedy in that one is intentional, and it's a black comedy. I'm like, dude, you can't be into all these fucking black comedies. Like, and Tommy Wiseau, The Room is not a black comedy. But anyways, I already seen it, and so I saw like the guy in a or Nick Cage in a bear suit punching a woman. I saw all that, and then when I saw Vampire's Kiss, I sat down. I was like, okay, I'm prepared to be entertained. It's gonna be wild, wacky. But the parts where it takes itself too seriously and it isn't Nick Cage freaking out or anything like that, they really are just fucking dull. And it's
What
like,
scenes? Because honestly, I thought this was a tour de force. Every time it started to get a little boring, something crazy would happen. I didn't think this movie was that dull.
I don't know. I guess I didn't even like some of the club scenes. Like I just thought I was like, I get it. I understand what this is. Um, that seemed to be the part where like it needed something just kind of really crazy outrageous, but everything kind of fit in. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what else you got. I don't know.
It's hard to answer. I don't know if I have an answer because
The worst scene.
I didn't really like when he was like about to rape her.
Yeah, no, actually, let me
So I'm gonna
resend.
go with that. That was kind of gross.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Like you ruin all the
I
fun
was
when
like,
you
do
throw
we
a
need?
rape
Come on,
scene.
this is a fun vampire movie. Do we need a rape?
Hey, come on, I'm watching this with
Well,
my mom.
actually, the rape does kind of drive the plot because if it
Yeah.
was she didn't rape him, if he didn't rape her, rather, we wouldn't have gotten the blanks in the gun and then him getting killed at the end.
Yeah, and it was in 1989, so it was like, they were like, "Oh, well, yeah, we'll just throw in a rape scene," and like, you could do it you do it other different ways with a story and that sort of
I
thing.
think. Well, here's the thing: the best scene is also every best scene is also the worst scene in this movie.
Exactly.
Like that's the thing.
This is really a mixed reception. Like that is
This really is like this is a
yeah,
quintessential mixed reception episode because you know, like, what is this movie? Huge
yeah,
cult following, the
yeah,
memes.
yeah.
Um,
I'm surprised, and maybe we'll come back for The Rock. Like you actually don't like The Rock?
well, yeah, I actually would. Yeah, maybe down the road if you want to do The
Yeah,
Rock, I would actually like to do that because that movie didn't get like super hot reviews.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like yeah,
It's actually like rewatching that movie. It's not like a particularly well made movie. Like
no,
watching that car chase was poorly edited.
yeah, and
I like Sean Connery in that movie. I don't think Nicholas. I think Nick Cage is kind of. Well, I don't know. I don't know.
well, it's hard. It's hard because he does things. He throws in things like "What in the name of Zeus's butthole?" Like he adds flares in there where it's like he's not just any other asshole like lead action actor with muscles. Although he actually put on the muscles. I actually a tidbit I like, which I was confused
Oh,
about.
the Ghost Rider thing.
The Ghost Rider thing.
Yeah.
He was like, "No, they were actually real, but nobody believed me. So I guess I'll get CGI abs next time." Because they look fucking fake. Because like he started to get to an age where it's like, yeah, you started wondering, it's like, well, should he even be a fucking Marvel hero at this point? And people are still like, oh, he should
Yeah,
come back.
that was a crazy career move. Ghost
It was,
Rider.
yeah. I think people kept wanting to, I guess like maybe. I mean, I'm not really that involved in Hollywood, but maybe people kept feeling bad that he didn't do Superman, and they saw those like production pictures.
Holy
and also
shit!
they know
Everybody's
how
like,
big of
"Oh,
a fan he is.
I wish they did that movie." I'm like, "No, you don't. No, you don't."
I have no idea. Like the whole dark gothic thing works well for Batman. For Superman,
No, as we
I
saw,
don't know.
Zack Snyder's. You can't do
Oh
Superman
yeah,
super serious.
yeah.
Um, those set photos, those photos with him in the costume fitting and the long hair,
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I love it.
Actually, have you seen that documentary? It's basically about like the kind of the production behind the scenes issues with the Superman Returns
I haven't seen that yet.
you know what I'm talking about, right?
I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen it yet though. Yeah.
I highly recommend it. It's been out
Yeah.
for a while, but
Is it better than Jodorowsky's Dune?
I need to see that too. I should have watched it before I did the Dune episode. I can't believe I didn't.
That's the famous one that's like, oh, what could have been? It's like, yeah, but it wasn't. So let's shut the fuck up.
I know,
don't
right?
Like,
oh man, everyone's like, oh, he should have been.
oh,
Superman.
Nic Cage could have been Superman. Well, you had him as Ghost Rider and you didn't like him there. So go back and watch fucking Ghost Rider and Ghost Rider 2, Fury of Vengeance, or whatever the fuck it's called, you bitches.
I think okay, so I think if he does Superman, I think it bombs. And I think it's awful, and who knows what his career would have been like. But
he might have.
It would have been. I think it would have been like a Batman and Robin, like hilarious, so bad it's good kind of movie.
He would have, again. It was early. It was right at this point in the career where he was experimenting with like, hey, like how far is too far? How much weirdness can I put in this like, but kind of like serious thing? He probably would have started with a voice. Like Superman is technically an alien, and he knows. Nick Cage knows his fucking
trying to be all nerdy. Oh my god, disaster!
Yes.
Disaster.
Oh, yes. That's exactly it. He probably starts with the Clark Kent voice first, and it's weird. It's probably close. It's probably like, oh, hey guys, I'm Clark Kent, like something weird, like a cartoon, because he loves cartoons over the top and that sort of thing. And then like people are like, what the fuck is this? But that kind of makes sense because like the whole thing of like Clark Kent with the glasses and he takes them off their Superman. The voice would help too.
Oh my god, I mean, it's like hindsight switch. I don't know. It's like with anything. Like, of course, it would have been interesting. Of course, we would have watched it, but like, it would not have been a good movie.
No,
like it really wouldn't have.
Not as good as Vampire's Kiss.
Is there a memorable quote in this movie? What's your favorite quote?
I do. Yeah, well, I already said the it never just goes away. I also like just saying Alva. And I love saying it because I at work I would terrorize my friend Alba, and I'd like be around the corner and be like, Alva, where are you, Alva? Besides that, I do love, and it's part of the Nic Cage loses his shit montage, the famous one, where he's just running down the street, and again, they say that they couldn't pay extras, going past people.
I'm a vampire.
I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire.
They did look legit scared. Those people.
His intonation is just like kind of like monotonous and like matter of fact. It's just bizarre. Like everything in this fucking movie.
I'll go with I'm a vampire.
That should be on the stupid movie poster.
I'm a vampire, Roger Ebert. Best okay, I think this doesn't apply for this movie. Best unintentional comedic moment. I think that's an NA.
Oh yeah.
You're
right.
Answer that.
That shuts down that question because we don't fucking know.
I don't know.
That's the effect. Like he doesn't know what's real, what's not. I don't know what's real, what's not in this movie.
I really don't. But that's what makes it fascinating. I think this is I think that's what makes it, I would say, worth a watch.
Oh, maybe, but I might put my money on like that he wanted to do this, but he didn't know how weird it would come out. But when he's crying and he goes, boo-hoo, boo-hoo, I don't maybe he was like, yeah, don't keep that in a movie. Like that's way too over the top. But maybe not. Maybe that's exactly what it's almost like when you sleep and like it's like he's like boo-hoo, boo-hoo.
Oh, we haven't mentioned him eating the pillow. It's like when he's really sad and he just like starts. Well, no, he eats a pillow at some point. I don't remember what the context was.
to get the taste of the cockroach out of his mouth.
I think this is when he is full fledged. Like I'm a vampire. I think.
Okay.
I think he's
Yeah.
like. I can't remember. I don't know what the context was, but I just remember specifically a shot where he's sitting on his apartment floor, just eating a pillow.
Yeah, I do like that scene, but again, I think even for me, it was maybe a little too over the top when he just trashes his place. It was kind of like the fight scene in They Live, right,
Oh,
with
it just
Roddy,
keeps going and
where it just
going.
keeps going, and I'm like, this is uncomfortable, and I guess that's the effect the director wanted, but it probably should have been
Director
cut.
didn't
Like,
know what he
5 minutes
wanted.
ago. Yeah, exactly. And I think it's from one angle. I think I can't remember, but I think it's from one above angle, and he just trashes the whole place, and it's like that's what it feels like in my mind. I was like, I get it. I get it.
Okay, so these next two categories, best performance and worst performance. Well, it's Nicolas Cage. He's simultaneously the best performer and the worst performer.
Yeah. Next question.
That's all I have for categories. Are there any other like weird before we like wrap up?
Yeah.
Are there any other like weird moments that you want to like mention or?
Oh man, I'm trying to go through the Rolodex of like I'm sure we missed something.
So there is one scene. I wonder if you noticed this, but there's a scene where he's like looking outside of his window in his I think his office, and he sees like this hot dog vendor is trying to give this couple like their food, and they just keep making out, and he just keeps trying to hand it to them, and they just keep going and going, trying to keep making out. Did you remember that?
I do not remember that fucking part of the movie.
It's a very like I don't know. It's a very quick moment, but I thought it was really funny.
Yeah.
Like
again, that might be in the script, and that is why it's a comedy. Is a little like Naked Gun moment where there's like a little thing they just see outside their window.
But I thought that scene was kind of relevant because at the end, I mean, really, this movie really is about him trying to find love. I mean, it sounds cheesy, but like at the end of the movie, like in his mind, he meets the perfect girl. In the psychiatrist's office, like, I think he kind of likes Alba a little bit.
Oh yeah. That's a weird, really, really weird relationship where that's his kind of like flirting.
Because there's a point in the movie where he goes to the her apartment, takes a taxi, and he's like, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the file." And then you're like, "Okay, maybe things will flip." No, they don't.
Yeah,
there's a brief moment where I'm like, I think he kind of likes her. Also, that first girl he has sex with, like, that kind of just ends. Doesn't really go anywhere.
It's such a weird movie and weird pacing. There's also like besides like the really like awful, like rape scene where he attempts to like assault her. There's also like a weird overall misogyny and like racism to it, which I don't know it was intended or not. But like because she
is,
was,
I guess, was she like Puerto Rican or something?
Yeah.
I'm racist. I'm being racist just to get
you fucking racist. I think she was of Hispanic origin.
Right.
And
there we go.
There's a bit of like misogyny and also like racism. Again, like it doesn't go to like the levels of like American Psycho or other actual satires, like you said. But there is like a level of that where I'm like, oh, like why do they do that? But then I think I do come back to like I don't think that was intentional. I think it's just maybe who they casted.
Nicolas Cage, in hindsight, or the director would probably be like, well, it's in there. It's very subtle. It's very subtle.
It's like it's very subtle because it talks about like classism and race in America, where this white man can talk down to Hispanic woman.
He does say you are at the lowest end of the totem pole. He does tell her that.
Actually, yeah. So there is
this movie's smart. This movie's fucking smart.
Oh my god, when is Vampire's Kiss 2 coming out? Probably before Avatar 2, I'll tell you that.
Oh my god. Supposedly there's a trailer coming out in front of Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah, that's I will see it when I believe it. I
don't want an Avatar movie.
Have you done Avatar on this podcast?
Yeah, Casey
Kennedy?
Yeah, we did it.
Holy fuck. Like I did not like that movie when it came out. And also as soon as I heard there was a sequel, I'm like, I just rolled my eyes. But luckily, it never fucking came out so far. I did go to like they have a park in Disney World devoted to Avatar. I'm like, why? Like, yeah, it was a big production. It's James Cameron, but like, I'd rather have like a fucking like Point Break. Park.
Oh my god, fuck yeah, give me a Point Break. That was the first movie Molly, my now wife, and I watched as a married couple. Point Break.
What? Had she not seen it before?
We had a bunch of friends. This was like the day after our wedding, and we had a bunch of friends. We day drinked, so there was like 6 of us left, and we all like piled on the couch and watched Point Break.
Nobody better do that.
Some people were on the floor. Our couch can't fit that many people, but
that movie is not for this podcast because it's a stone cold classic. Nobody.
Well, actually, we talked about it on our mutual friend. You produce this podcast, Alfred.
Oh, did you guys talk Point Break?
Yeah, you talked with us. You don't remember?
Oh wait, no, you on my podcast.
Yeah, what's I feel bad. What's it called?
Performance enhancing
yes,
film.
Yes. I feel so shitty that I forgot.
No, that's fine. But you can't do it on this one because it's
no,
mixed.
No.
Although I bet
it actually kind of was. If you look on Rotten Tomatoes, it's like 66. It's like pretty mixed.
It's fucking stupid.
But I already talked about it. Check out performance enhancing films.
Thank you so much for the plug. Everybody who hates the movie Point Break is a fucking James Cameron Avatar fan, and they just go review bomb Point Break.
So Point Break does 6 degrees of separation. That Catherine Bigelow directed that, and James Cameron was married to Catherine Bigelow.
There you go.
And she actually beat him in the Oscars. She won for Hurt Locker. He lost for Avatar.
I love that. I don't know if they're in any way related to filmography wives as like Nic Cage. I don't know if they've done anything, but I don't think James Cameron would work well with Nic Cage.
Oh my god! Imagine him as like an avatar, like a oh my god! God, just imagine how he would look too. The receding hairline, but he's been dyeing his hair black.
Yeah,
it's just like
I
do
not
fooling anyone. You're 58 years old. You're not fooling anyone.
A lot of people are really like a mixed reception on just his appearance. Like you said, it's like, oh, he's this ugly looking, you know.
I mean, I don't think he's ugly. I just think he's like not a traditionally handsome. That's what's part of what's fascinating about him is like this guy.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
I don't know. I think you would agree. Like I want to say this top 5 biggest stars of the 90s.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, like it's like this guy.
Yeah.
Like he was huge in the 90s.
He has this like droopy, like kind of like long face.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really move his mouth very much unless he's yelling. Yeah, the receding hairline. My coworker, Temple, she says that he also has greasy looking teeth, and I'm like, I don't see that, but like probably.
No, you tell her she's crazy.
He did. If you do look like he obviously got teeth done, like probably after this movie, because you can tell in Moonstruck.
Yeah, because in this movie he had fangs, and so he got.
Now that was a little bit of unintentional comedy that I did right there, with the help of my friend Barrett.
Is there anything else to mention?
Oh man, the soundtrack, especially when they're in the club. Oh my god.
It's kind of jazzy. Well, even the opening credits are kind of like, it's got this like kind of somber, jazzy, which like right off the bat, the tone's weird because of that music.
It is, yeah. I was not expecting. Again, I was not expecting this fucking movie when I watched it. And as I was watching, I was like, "What the hell?" And then I was like, "Yeah, I get it." And can it be over? How long is it? Is it like 2 hours?
It was a lot longer than I thought. I thought it was gonna be like an hour and a half, and it is actually like an hour and like 46.
Yeah,
so it was a lot longer.
It wrapped it up.
Do you remember that scene in the shower where he's like, "Oh, you want to come in too?" He's like talking to himself, but I guess he's pretending to be like with 2 women.
Right.
I don't know. It's like little stuff like that's pretty funny.
Yeah, and I guess we said we wanted more of that like kind of ambiguous stuff where he was just talking to himself, but no, I guess it wasn't really.
See, that could work though, because it's like he's practicing on what he's gonna say.
Oh,
I'm telling you, like there's a different version of this movie that I would actually like to see. We're talking about how remakes suck, but I think like this could be remade, I think, into something kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right, so give me your final thoughts, and then let's rate this puppy out of 5. Out of 5.
Final thoughts.
5 fangs. We'll do 5 fangs.
final thoughts is you definitely need to see this movie if you're curious about like Nic Cage and like how far he can go. Because this is as far as this motherfucker goes. Like if he's a rubber band, this is stretching him all the way. This movie was his lab to experiment with like voice and his body and just like weird, wild expressionistic stuff that you don't normally see in acting today, where it's like really kind of realistic, and the leading actors usually do stuff very like dramatic and realistic. But Nic Cage goes out there, and if you want to see him go out there and you want to see him lose his shit, watch this movie, and you'll be weirded out by it. You'll see him eat an actual cockroach, and that's worth the price of admission.
Unless you like cockroaches, in which case you'll be turned off.
Yeah, PETA don't watch
Sorry,
this.
PETA. And so a 5 for you?
A 5 out of 5 fangs.
Yeah.
I think I will. I think like this is.
It's a hard movie to rate, right? Like
I had to say this out loud because I thought of it, and I guess I'll just say it is like this is kind of more of like a historic movie. This is so twisted, like Citizen Kane to me. So like, although Citizen Kane is kind of boring, and like now like we've like known all of its tricks for years, Citizen Kane is like a 5 out of 5. To me, Vampire's Kiss, 5 out of 5.
I think if you're I think if you're grading, I think if you're grading on a curve, yeah. I mean, like, well, it's a specific 5 out of 5. I think if you're looking for kooky Nic Cage over the top, like you can do no better.
You can do no better.
Because I think a lot of people, like, especially like I think like the last 10 years, I think people have this like idea of Nicolas Cage of like, every movie he does is over the top. I think they think that that's what those Redbox movies are. They're not.
They're not. And
but
you'll be
disappointed. This truly is like this checks a lot of boxes for people who kind of like that side of Nicolas Cage.
No, to your point, for people who are just looking to be entertained and just kind of like, enjoy a movie, one. I don't think you'll get a lot out of it. You'll be like, oh god, this is weird. Oh,
well, I don't know. You might. I mean, I think
people.
I think you could probably. I think I could probably call a couple people over, have some beers, and like make fun of it.
Yeah, that's but if you're sitting down for a serious like time or whatever, you'll probably be like, oh, I don't like his acting. Oh, he looks weird. Oh, I don't like the story. I don't feel good. Yeah, 1 out of 5 fags.
Yeah. God, this is so hard to rate. I mean, I will say, like, I think from a pure enjoyment, like, just level, I mean, it probably is a 5 out of 5 things. But if I'm being objective, well, that's the thing. It's so hard to rate because it's so hard to put a number to this because I don't know what the intentions of the filmmaker was.
I really, and I don't even like to watch it anymore. Like I'll even rewatch Leaving Las Vegas over this, even though Leaving Las Vegas is such a fucking downer.
Is that your favorite movie?
It's one of my favorites for sure. Yeah. I think I like Apocalypse Now over it. Those are my 2 favorite like dramas. And my 2 favorite comedies. I love Rushmore. I love Wes Anderson, and I love Raising Arizona. But I can name 10 movies that are just stone cold like classics and entertaining that have Nic Cage in it, and they probably are not Vampire's Kiss. Although I might just slide that one in at number 10.
If I'm being objective, this is like probably like a 1.5. So I'm gonna split the difference. I'm gonna give it like a 2.
Yeah, because like if I told my mom,
it's a 2.5.
If I told my mom to watch Vampire's Kiss, no, she'd be like, nah. And she's watched some weird ones. She actually liked The Matrix. I saw The Matrix in the theaters with her.
The new one?
No, the
original.
The original one.
That
like,
new one stunk. Oh my god.
Yeah, now that one I was entertained by. I wouldn't give it a high score. I give it like a middle. I think that's a good one for mixed reception.
That movie was so cheap looking.
Yeah, it was weirdly cheap.
The story was pointless. The fight choreography. That's what like Matrix is known for. Is like it's fights.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Didn't even deliver on the action.
That was really weird. I did like it in the sense of I liked
the meta stuff.
What was the third Star Trek movie? The reboot series.
Star Trek Beyond.
Beyond?
Yeah,
That's such a stupid title.
I hate it.
Anyways,
Star Trek Into Darkness is even dumber.
I didn't like Star Trek Into Darkness. I liked the first one. It was campy, it was pulpy, whatever. The second one was like way too serious, and like I hated the winks and nods at all this stuff. And it's like, oh, it's inverse. Blah, fuck yourself. But then the third one I like because it was kind of just like a really well produced episode of
That's how I
like
feel.
the
Yeah.
series, and I like that one. And I kind of like the latest Matrix one because it was kind of just like, oh, it's a kind of like the Animatrix, where it's like, oh, hey, this is just another adventure of
Oh, I need to see that. I
some
really want.
goofballs in the Matrix world, because I think that's probably, you're right, the two things they did best. The Wachowskis, they did the fight choreography and the world building of like this whole fucking man versus machine and Agent Smith and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, kind of like anime. It's cool. Which is, it leads us to Vampire's Kiss, not like anime at all. Although I did read, or oh, what did I read? I read something about like Nick Cage is basically an anime character, the real world, something like that. I don't know, but that makes sense.
So the Batman came out recently, and he wants to play. They were asking him like, "What villain would you want to play?" Some of these reporters just ask stupid fucking questions. Like,
I'd
what
be
the
like,
fuck?
fuck off.
Like, what does that have to do with anything? But he seems like a nice guy, I gotta say.
Yeah.
But he was like, well, I'd like to play Egghead. I guess there was a character in the Adam West Batman that was just like,
Yeah.
Egghead, like his Egghead.
Yeah. I
Vincent
rewatched.
Price, yeah.
I rewatched. I rewatched the Lego Batman movie recently because I loved the Batman. I just can't get enough Batman. I wanted something fun to watch, and Egghead is in there. He actually turns in the Lego Batman movie.
So Matt Reeves,
yeah,
hit
listening.
Up hit up Nick Cage. He wants to be Egghead.
I think Nick Cage got his best again because he has a hard on for comics and that sort of stuff. I do like Ghost Rider. It's not something I'll sit down and rewatch.
Do you
but
like
I
Ghost
like
Rider or Spirit of Vengeance?
I like Ghost Rider, and then Spirit of Vengeance is actually brilliant. Like I actually love the direction in that one. It's kind of it's dumb, but it's dumb in a good way, like the Crank movies. And then let's see, Egghead. Wait, what was I talking about? Oh, he has a hard on for comic books. One of his best roles, and I'll put this up there, maybe in my top 10, is Spider-Man into the
Spider-Man Noir.
Yeah, where he plays Spider-Man Noir. And it's obvious what he's doing, but sometimes like it works, and he's like, I'm just doing a James Cagney impression, which is he's not a good impressionist, but he's doing like a James Cagney sort of thing, and it works, and it's like he's actually a pretty good voice artist, and the Croods as well. Like I enjoyed the Croods. He does well.
So let me ask you this before we go.
Yeah.
I know I've taken up a lot of your time, but give me spit them off.
Okay.
If you can, your top 10 Nick Cage performances.
All right. So, well, in no order, but I'll try kind of at the top. Leaving Las Vegas, Raising Arizona. Those are definitely the two, right?
Okay.
Moonstruck, Adaptation. You had it with that.
That'd be my number one. I love that
let's see. I do like what he does in some of the action stuff. So I'll put Con Air up there. Face Off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will put Spider-Man. Is it Into the Multiverse? Did I get it right?
Into the
Spider-Verse.
Oh, I think. What the fuck is that movie called?
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse?
I think it's called Into the Spider-Verse. Oh, let me look it up. Spider-Man.
Into the Spider-Verse. All right, so we got 3 slots left. I might Pig actually is up there. So that's one of the newer ones where I'll put that up there. Joe is fucking incredible. That's an underrated one where his performance is
I've heard of that. Yeah. It is called Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay, good.
Thank God. Thank God.
They should have thrown the word spider in there a couple more times. Spider-Man, the spider goes into the Spider-Verse.
Into the Vampire-Verse. Ooh, maybe he'll show up.
Then maybe the last one, I'll put Vampire's Kiss in there. I'm missing one though.
If they make a Morbius movie and do like a Morbius verse, a Vampire's Kiss character, Peter Lowe should show up in the Morbius.
Are you gonna see Morbius? I don't think I am.
No, I'm not. I think I'll probably never see it. Well, actually, what I want to do is I really like tier ranking videos. I kind of
Oh,
want to do one for my podcast, my channel.
nice. Yeah.
So I kind of might rank the Marvel movies.
Oh
Thinking about
man,
doing that. So I'll have to watch Morbius.
I would love those, but I kind of hate a lot of them.
Oh,
Man,
well, a lot of them I've only seen once, so it would be I'd have to rewatch a lot. So
um,
I'd have to do this over 2 months. I mean, I can't, it'd be like a long-term project.
yeah. You know what? I can't even do 10 because now I'm looking at the list and I'm like, there's 5 more I want to add on there.
What about Vampire's
Because
Kiss?
Vampire's Kiss I will stealthily throw in there, but it's not. I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. But Wild at Heart, Bad Lieutenant, Protocol New Orleans
I
is
hear that's good.
insane.
That's what's his name?
So good.
Walter Warner
Uh,
Herzog or what?
Werner Herzog.
Herzog.
I've seen the terror in your eyes, and I like it. The yeah. Fast Times at Ridgemont High is a classic, but
He's
he only
barely
had
in
like a
that.
line in there. He's
What
barely in
about
that
Valley
one.
Girl?
Valley, yeah, yeah. Again, but maybe lower. Lord of War actually he does really well. I don't like
Actually,
that
I
movie.
remember I've only seen it once, but I remember when I did see it, I was like, "Wow, that was a pretty good movie."
I don't like that. I don't like. No, I don't like Jared Leto in it. He
I
can
don't
go
like
fuck
Jared
himself.
Leto as a person.
Yeah.
I don't know
He's a
him. I'm sure he's a
douche.
nice guy. No,
I
he's
probably
not
throw.
because he was throwing rats in people's trailers and shit. Yeah, did you read about that?
Yeah, when you never see Nick Cage doing that because he's not a method guy. Method is over. The Cage. It's the age of Cage. I also throw on National Treasure. I mean, actually, like
That
for
second,
somebody.
I rewatched that second one. Oof. When he goes down when he's like sliding down the rail and
Oh
he's
God.
acting like a British person, like a Cockney accent. Like, oh my god, it's so bad.
Yeah. He's been opening up a lot in interviews, I guess, for Unbearable Weight, and he said like Disney, and he has kind of a good perspective about it. But he's like, yeah, they threw me out the fucking window. Like National Treasure 3, if you're hoping for that, you better hope for like fucking a unicorn because not happening. They just dropped him
I
like a
don't know
bad.
why though.
Yeah, I know that was like a moneymaker and it was good. I thought it
Yeah,
made money.
because like so the second one came out 2007. I would say like around the time when it should have came out, he was still
Yeah,
like a big actor.
yeah. I don't know. Like my niece, like she's a younger person or early 20s, but like that was her first introduction to Nick Cage, and I'm like, oh well, if you like him in National Treasure, you'll love Vampire's Kiss.
Well, Matt, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
mean, shit, this could go on for like another hour and
Oh,
a half.
I know, but I think we covered Vampire's Kiss well. I'd love to come back and talk about another Nick Cage.
Yes, I'm definitely. You're gonna you're gonna be my Nick Cage guy.
I'm actually doing another podcast, maybe not tonight because I think I went kind of long, but um for Gone in 60 Seconds. And that is just like not a lesser Nick Cage,
Is that
but
car
just a
podcast you do?
yeah, Reels and
Okay.
Wheels.
Okay.
So with James Rodeas and Sid Bridge. But yeah, it's kind of just like you could pluck out Nick Cage and put in anybody in there. There's like one line that he says is very Nick Cagey where he's like at a car dealership and the guy's like, "Hey, I'm Roger. How can I help you?" And he turns around, he's very Nick Cage and he's like, and it's actually out of character for his character, but he puts on this like LA kind of thing. He's like, "Oh, Roger. My name's Roger too. Two Rogers don't make a right." And it's like, "What? You didn't need that in this fucking everything else about this movie is just 2000 era. It's like it's got Angelina Jolie in dreads. It's got like hip hop techno soundtrack. It's got Master P and
See, I kind of want to do Face Off, but I was looking at that
oh,
when that movie came out. Actually, like critics kind of liked it, but I might do it anyway. Fuck it, it's my podcast. I can do what I want
yeah, no, because John Woo
because
at
that
that
movie
time,
has become kind of a meme.
he could have done anything he wanted to at that point. Like, yeah, he just yeah.
But yeah, I'll have you on again. We'll think of some.
Awesome.
There's a lot of them. There's tons of them. So we'll get you back on to do something. But yeah, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Well, I never know how to end these, so let's
Oh,
end
well,
it with
check out. Oh, can I plug? I just want everybody who's
absolutely
made it this
plug
far.
away.
if you've made it this far, your reward is to check out my other podcasts that I produce.
Yes.
Actually
You
with
produced my wife's
Barrett's
podcast. How
wife, Molly
embarrassing.
Graham. How Embarrassing podcast, where we tell embarrassing stories. We have guests on from the community, mostly from the Push Comedy Theater. They just tell us embarrassing stories about their lives. I'm surprised so many people do it and they embarrass the fuck of themselves. Some people probably might lose their jobs over this podcast, but go to howembarrassingpodcast.com and we're on social media, How Embarrassing Pod. I also have just wrapped up a podcast called The Sexperts, but I'm probably looking to do another podcast soon with my production company, Go On Productions. Check me out at the Push Comedy Theater in Granby Street in Norfolk, Virginia. I host a show every last Friday of the month, 8 and 10 p.m. The Improv Riot. It's Whose Lines and Way style short form games. That's it. Thank you so much. I have enjoyed this.
I actually have
immensely.
one more thing. So
Yeah.
we were kind of talking offline before we started this.
Yeah.
I'm serious. I think you need to do a Nicolas Cage podcast.
I'm
Just go through his filmography.
I'm down for it. I did actually start. I mentioned Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I did actually start there, and I have been trying to work my way through. And I've gotten so far as Fast Times at Ridgemont High because I'm not a big fan of that movie. I know it's kind of like of its time and that sort of thing, but
what would you call the podcast? Let's think of a name. Right
man, Nick, all the Cage.
Oh, despite all my rage, I'm still just a Nick in the Cage. we'll shorten it. Nick in the Cage will be the podcast name. Nick in
the Cage. I love it.
All right. Awesome. I really hope you do this. If you do, please let me be on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that was the episode. That was Vampire's Kiss. I had to rent it, but you know what? It's worth it. It's like $4, and it'd be the best.
$4? No, you overpaid for that shit.
It wasn't on anywhere else. I looked. Okay. I was like, fuck, I gotta pay for this fucking thing. But anyway, Matt, thank you again, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.